We reached a turning point in the Browns season. It was that Baker Mayfield. Oh, was it a fumble? Was it a forward pass? On further review, it was a forward pass. That was the turning point.
On a technicality.
It led, maybe it didn't lead, but soon afterwards, we won that game. Rashard Higgins scoring the game-winning touchdown. The Browns hold on to the win against the Bills. As Baker has mentioned this week, it's been one heck of a schedule that we've been facing. The Bills, another top-ranked defense. We've got the Steelers coming up, another top-ranked defense. But first, let's gloat a little bit. We beat the Bills. We're back on the winning track. We're back on the playoff track. Drew, how happy were you? Man, that was awesome to celebrate.
It was great. It's great. It's great to get a win. It's always fun when you haven't officially packed it in for the draft, although I feel like I sort of have. But it's always good to get a win, however it happens. I was watching and then the fumble thing happened, and I turned off the television, and I pulled up Twitter to like angrily rant at people. And some people I follow, like, that's a forward pass, that's a forward pass. I was like, all right, I'll turn this thing back on. Fine. I won't pack the season away entirely yet. And then, you're right. Maybe that's the turning point, that finally a call goes our way. They overturn it, and then the Browns go down and win the game. And then somebody from the other side misses something. We catch a break there too. So maybe that is the turning point. Maybe it's the fumble overturn heard around the world that wakes this team up to go on this huge streak to where they get back to 500. And if they can figure out a way to get there with a couple of games left in the season, who knows where they end up. So. It's time to gloat. They got a little better. They've been a little better these last couple of games. That's where we're at.
Little better. Come on.
They've been a little better in the last two games. I have something. The Cleveland Browns have only had 9 penalties accepted on them. That is a massive improvement from having 18 called against you in the first game. In the last two games, the Cleveland Browns have 0 turnovers. There's been some interception-worthy passes that have been dropped finally. There's been some fumbles where they've got the ball back. That obviously didn't happen against New England, and so there's some things that are maybe some regression to the mean in a positive way. For the last 35 years of football, maybe that's our time. Maybe we finally start to regress to the mean, to where we only get an average amount of bad breaks every game. Maybe. Last thing I'll say is that the Cleveland Browns now no longer lead the league in accepted penalties. They are number 2 in that regard. They are only the second highest penalized team in the league now. Again, this is after 9 penalties in the last 2 games combined. So maybe things are getting a little better. Maybe they build some momentum. Maybe Emily Mayfield and Baker Mayfield calling out the fair weather fans and telling the fans to be quiet when the offense is on the field. Maybe this is just what this whole city and franchise needs. We stand for you, Queen Mayfield. Forget all those fair weather fans. We're happy that you're here, and maybe this is the run that this team finally goes on, and this year's the 2019 Cleveland Browns, maybe they finally wake up.
A little better. Eric, you were there to see a little better. You saw some celebrations. You saw a pretty big party after that Browns win. How was the experience being at the game and what you saw being at the stadium?
Well, not even knowing this, we were jumping up and down after they missed a field goal. My wife, Lindsay, actually jumped up and hit her shin on the chair in front of her and had a nice big gash on her leg on a 19-16 regular season victory in November to get you to 3-6. But hey,
that's a true fan right
well
there.
Worth it.
There's no fair weather fan there.
Win's a win. So
you've heard of the bloody sock. She's got the bloody jeans now.
There we go. Exactly. I mean, I guess most weeks I usually start out positive, so I'm going to start out with a negative and go positive. Josh Allen couldn't hit the broadside of a barn on a couple of his throws, including the final drive, where he was 3 or 5 yards wide of their guys. The red zone / goal line offense, I don't think I really need to say anything other than that. I was telling you guys earlier, I was on the left side of the field where the Browns were running 7 to 8 plays and not scoring from the 1 yard line. So they need to do something about that and hopefully to improve it and hopefully get it done now. The other thing is the Bills have no offensive playmakers. Josh Allen's good at running the draw and the QB sneak, and that's about it. So I mean, I'm glad they got that one out of the way. Now hopefully they can build upon that. Looking at the positives, the Browns did enough to win. They weren't asked to do too much, but they were down 4. Baker led that final drive, hit Higgins in stride, and that's what they needed to do to win. One thing I really did love seeing was the 2-back set with Kareem Hunt as the main blocker for Nick Chubb. The other thing is he's a much better receiver than Chubb is. Chubb's a good receiver, don't get me wrong, but I really like what Kareem Hunt could do with this offense.
I'm told they ran that like 40% of the time. Like they actually
Ironically, not in the red zone when they probably should have, but it's details. But that last drive, it was a 3rd and 7, a quick out to Hunt to get like 8 yards and move the sticks. Yeah. It was a very important call at the time. Seemed big, but it was very big looking back. So I like to think that Kitchens and Monken and whoever else is going to be working on these play calls is going to be utilizing these 2 guys correctly, so the offense can move the ball down the field, whether it's via the rush, via the pass, throwing the quick hitters. I don't care. It was a good thing to see. The other thing is, Baker hit Higgins, and the rumor going around is that Baker or Freddie said nice call or good job to Baker. So it sounded like Baker called his own play. If that's what it's got to take to score in the red zone, great. Have him call the play every single time. I don't care. Because obviously it seems like there's a vendetta against Higgins by Kitchens, and the only way he's going to throw him the ball is if Baker tells him to. I don't care what you got to do. Throw the ball to the guy, whoever's open. If it's Higgins, if it's Callaway, if it's Kareem Hunt, I don't care. So
I have an idea for who should call the play. I'm not sure if I've said it on this podcast yet or not.
Kitchens?
No, not Kitchens. There's a guy we're employing who can literally, it's his job to coordinate the offense. Maybe let him call the plays. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
All right. Kareem Hunt, 7 catches out of the backfield. I really like that. There's a couple of things. I think most Browns fans are not listening to the national narrative on a couple of these things. Nick Chubb is doing awesome. But he had about 110 plus yards in this game. 3rd best running back in the league. If someone says the Browns should rush the ball more, they've already got the 3rd best runner in the league. The other thing that I've seen, digging into the stats, you say, we need to pass it to OBJ more. We need to pass it to Jarvis more. Both of those guys are in the top 20 for targets in the NFL. These guys are getting plenty of passes. I think
they're both on pace for 1,100 yards this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So those 3, they're getting the ball a ton. Maybe that is it. Why is Antonio Callaway not in the lineup? Because he's not making it to the game on time, or Rashard Higgins.
Stinks, Ryan, he stinks on ice. Put anybody else out there but him.
Hollywood Higgins. He needs it.
Put him out.
Right.
These guys need to solve these problems. Why are they not on the field? Why are they disagreeing with Kitchens? Get on the field. Get with the team. OBJ is the leader here. He is with the team. He is on the field. No matter what with his shoes or whatever BS is going on, he is on the field. He is a great team player. Learn from Odell here. He's been doing a great job. And I think the Browns are turning around. I'd love to see what Kareem Hunt can do in other situations, the goal line was a negative. It just seemed like the offensive line was getting dominated down in the goal line plays. That's just a weakness of the team. It seems like Robinson was getting beat a ton off the edge there. But let's see. Bills, it seemed like they had an awesome defensive line. We're not going to get too much reprieve here going up against the Steelers on Thursday night, tomorrow night, or you're listening to this on Thursday morning, tonight, going up to Cleveland, watching this game, the rivalry game up in Cleveland. It's going to be a pretty big party. Eric, you are our connection to Cleveland. Where are you going to be watching this game? Just going to be watching this game at home? And what are your expectations for this this big matchup?
I'm pointing to my TV if you can't see. So I'm going to be sitting right here in my basement. My expectations are that the Browns are favored by 3 at home. They were last week. So they have a very good chance of winning. The Steelers are on a 4-game win streak, but let's go through those. They went against the underwhelming Chargers. The Dolphins doesn't need anything to be said about that. The Colts with Brian Hoyer for 2/3 of the game. I mean, he had his moments here, but let's be serious. And the LA Rams, who are very inconsistent at best. They never eclipsed 27 points in any of those 4 games. So it's going to be up to the Browns offense against their defense as opposed to the Steelers offense against the Browns defense. James Conner will be back. He is their lead rusher. Jalen Samuels did an admirable job the last couple weeks, but, that's the guy the Browns got to stop. I don't want to jinx myself because I said we wouldn't have to worry about Brandon Allen, and here we are. So Mason Rudolph is the quarterback for them. So we'll just leave it at that. He's their quarterback. On the other side of the ball is they are plus 14 in the turnover differential in the last 4 games. Minkah Fitzpatrick, since signing him, has 3 defensive touchdowns. So it's really going to be up to Baker Mayfield and the offense to not turn the ball over and score when you have that opportunities. I don't care if it's field goals or touchdowns, preferably touchdowns, but let's not get greedy at certain points and try to go for something that we know might not be there. So, the offense is going to have to be smart, be ball controlled. It's the Steelers are kind of reverting back to the way they have been in Big Ben's earlier days, is good defense, efficient offense that's going to score when they have their opportunities and not turn the ball over and force you to turn the ball over. So we just need to combat all that. It's a similar blueprint to the Bills with little differences of Josh Allen's running ability versus Mason Rudolph's. But, I think the Browns have a pretty good chance. And I hope, seeing Kareem Hunt on the field, hopefully that gets their game day preparations are not up to speed. And I hope all these ins and outs of receivers, there's a whole lot of things going on with the Browns offense. And I hope the Steelers defense isn't frankly prepared for that. So I'm really excited to see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you've got me more worried about this game after your summary there. 4 in a row for the Steelers, wins against the Rams and the Chargers. James Conner coming back. Jeez. Drew, I was thinking a little bit more positively, but Eric's bringing me back down to earth here. Do you feel the same way?
Well, I don't think the Steelers are as good as their record is right now. I will say that, being plus 14 in the turnover differential with a guy who's essentially playing his first couple games at quarterback. There was a play against the Rams that was obviously to anyone that is playing a team other than the New England Patriots, Dallas Cowboys, or Pittsburgh Steelers. That is a clear forward pass. The ball landed, like Minkah Fitzpatrick picked the ball up 15 yards forward from where Jared Goff released the ball on his forward pass, and everybody stopped playing, and Minkah Fitzpatrick ran it in for a touchdown, and that turned out to be, it wasn't at the time, but it turned out to be the differential in the game. So, the Steelers have had plenty of things go their way, but they're the Steelers, right? They're going to get these calls. They're going to get the benefit of the doubt because, they're one of the NFL's model franchises or whatever BS that is. And that's been true. That's been true really for, pretty much the last 20 years. When you're a good team and you're consistently a good team, you get the benefit of the doubt. It's just human nature. When you're seeing a team that is good, you tend to call the game in a manner that gives that good team the benefit of the doubt. It's human nature. It's the reason the Patriots have had the calls that they've had. It's not because the commissioner likes them. He's done everything he can to get those guys busted for cheating. But, it's just the nature of the beast. And they're going to continue to get those calls. So the Browns have to be outright better than them to win. And I think they can be. Just to go through some of the last 6 games, the Steelers have been pretty good on defense, but inconsistent. They gave up 3 points, and they turned around and gave up 26, and 17-14, then 24, and they only gave up 12 to the Rams. I think that's going to be the Steelers' high water mark on defense, and I think they come back down to earth. I think that the Browns have the receivers to beat them. The Browns just have to not fall into this trap, and I think Freddie Kitchens has fallen right into it with his comments earlier this week. The trap the Steelers set is to bait you to think that you're going to out-physical them and try to run the ball against them. That's the trap that they've set. They've set it consistently. They go through this bravado of we're more physical, we're tougher, we're going to run the ball, you can't run against us, and that's what they want you to do. Right? They say that to bait you into it, and every Cleveland Browns coach has fallen for it. Bill Belichick doesn't. When Bill Belichick plays the Steelers, they pass the ball 50 times. It's nothing but 3 wides, and and they beat you with screens and quick passes, and the Steelers have no answer for it. They haven't had an answer for that forever, and I am hoping that the Cleveland Browns can finally figure that out. If a schmuck like me can figure this out, I don't know why the Browns coaches can't. Just spread the team out, let Baker Mayfield throw some short passes, some screens, make the aggressive nature of the Steelers defense, make them pay for that. And I think the Browns can come out of here ahead. I think that the Browns have the more talented team, certainly have the more talented quarterback, certainly have, the more talented individual players. If you're taking like a draft, you're going to, if you have 10 selections, 6 or 7 of those are going to be Cleveland Browns players from this game. They just have to piece it together. And I'm hoping that the coaching staff has one of their better games, because I think this is a winnable game.
It's going to be, if I'm the Steelers, I'm focusing in on Chubb, OBJ, Jarvis. I think for
that's
any
a lot
of
to
these,
focus on, right?
That's a lot to focus on, especially with Nick Chubb. He has been able to run on every single team. I think it always comes down to third receiver, fourth receiver. Can Baker spread the ball around? Can we get it to his tight end?
RSJ might be back this week.
Oh, okay. No.
I'm looking forward to those RSJ texts. Please send those to me.
He might be a game time decision, but we're pulling for him.
He's a gamer. He'll be there. You can't hold RSJ down. Friend of the program, by the way. We know he's listening. Hello, Richard.
And it's not just the Browns. There are positive news in town. The Cavs have been surprisingly positive, even though we lost to the 76ers on Tuesday night, I believe it was. Tough
close game though.
Yeah, Kevin Love had the chance to win it there with a 3-pointer at the end. Very good game. Cavs looked like they were going to pull it out there, but they had a 2-game winning streak going into that game. A little surprise, it's a surprising season. And one of the questions that they asked during that game, I think it was a fan question that they talked about on the broadcast, and this was from the NBA TV feed. I'm not sure about the Cleveland feed, which Eric must have been watching.
Had to have been.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. Always tuned in. The question, do you think the Cavs are going to be a playoff team? Not something that we would have asked last year, but with this start, a little surprising. We're putting together some wins. The East isn't that strong. What do we think about the Cavs' chances? Do you think Beeline is actually going to push this team into the playoffs? Drew, let's start with you first on this question.
I think John Beeline is a hell of a coach. I think that the Cavs got a great coach. I wish the Browns had a coach like that. A guy that you knew knew the game so well, top to bottom. He knows how to get the best out of his players. He knows the schemes. He really knows what he's doing. It is not surprising at all to me that a John Beeline coach team is overachieving. He's a great coach. Do I think they're a playoff team? No, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, at this point, the Cavs are 4-6. I can easily see them, beating some of the bad teams of the Eastern Conference and having that record be pretty close to what they end up with. A couple games under 500, which might even get you into the playoffs in the East. So it certainly wouldn't surprise me. Some things that have surprised me. I took a look at some of the advanced statistics, and Larry Nance actually leads this team in the offensive team rating. They on offense, they play really well with him. He's able to set a lot of screens. He's very athletic, can get around some of these guards to screen some people, and it's opened some things up. And so with him out there, they're pretty good. He leaves a little to be desired on defense and on the rebound on the glass, but hopefully, John Beeline's able to coach that up. In terms of the rest of the team, they're right around average. They're like 16th in defensive rating. They're 18th in offensive rating. This is better than we thought. Last year they were in the high 20s. Meaning amongst the worst in the league in pretty much all of these statistics. So I think this team is getting better. It remains to be seen if they keep Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love. These are two pretty good players still. These are players that started on a championship team, and obviously that team had Kyrie Irving and LeBron James, and they weren't the superstars of that team. But these are guys that every team in the league would love to have. And the question becomes, do you keep that, or is that an asset that you trade away for some younger pieces? And if they go the second choice there, which I think they probably ought to consider, then the answer is clearly no. They're not going to make the playoffs if they deal those two guys.
All right, good info on Larry Nance Jr., but I will disagree. Freddie Kitchens knows the game. It's
not
different.
As a head coach, he doesn't, man. Not as a head coach,
he
does
the
not.
Game. He definitely knows X's and O's. More Freddie Kitchens. Okay, let's not go back to the Browns. Eric, what do you think about these Cavs so far in the season?
Yeah, I would agree with Drew. I would, if I could predict going forward, I would probably put them around the 10 seed of the East, just right outside that playoff window. But, stranger things have happened. If you could bump up 5 extra games that I wasn't anticipating and maybe sneak in that 7 or 8 seed, good for you. Looking at the team, Tristan Thompson's playing well. He's got 16.5 points per game, 11.4 rebounds per game. Colin Sexton had 31 points against the Knicks, 16 against the Wizards. He leads the team with an 18.7 points per game. So, I'm hoping that trend continues for both those guys. It's extremely early in the season, but, anything can happen. And, I'm kind of excited to see exactly how these guys progress.
Speaking of best player in the game, we read some sad news that Dylan Windler, I think it was reported shortly before this podcast, Dylan Windler expected to be coming back in December. We were wondering if it was going to be this week, middle of December.
Supposed to be tomorrow.
It was
supposed to be tomorrow. We had a party scheduled for this podcast.
Very disappointing. Yeah, we were going to have a bunch of special effects, a whole scene. We're going to do interviews with Dylan Windler. But
Dylan was supposed to be on the podcast, but he had to go to rehab. So Matt Dane didn't have time for you either. But
maybe in December we will revisit. But the next thing we will visit as we close down this podcast, man, we got some big NFL picks this week, and we're going to do it a little bit differently. Browns with the Thursday night game. We usually do Browns Thursday night and our lock of the week, but we are going to double your money this week. We're going to do Browns on Thursday night. We're going to give you two locks And what we'll do first, we'll go to the man of the future, the man who foresees the future.
Absolutely.
Swallowed Dog, Drew Swallowed. Could you take out your crystal ball for us?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to do so, right? And keep in mind, I'm sitting over here on this free big old bag of money. That's 8 wins, 8 wins against only 3 losses. I am just handing out free money. Go ahead and play these locks. You'll be happy you did come Monday evening. The first lock that we're going to take is the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a Monday night special. That's why I said Monday evening. They're giving up 4 points. I believe they're playing the Chargers in Los Angeles. They're going to turn that into a home game. We're going to take the Chiefs -4. They just had a tough loss. They're going to come out there and they're about to show everybody why they had the MVP of the league. We're going to take the Chiefs -4. We're going to take the Saints -5.5. Another team coming off a really bad game. I do not see that happening again. They're going to win that game. They're going to win it by more than a touchdown. Go ahead and take that free bag of money. And speaking of free bags of money on Thursday night, the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting 3 points, and they're playing a team that they've owned for the last 20 years. We're going to go ahead and make some money as we watch the Cleveland Browns season come to an end. I don't know what to tell you.
That is ridiculous.
It's a free bag of money. Do you want this money or not? I'm giving it to you for free. If you don't want it, if you want to feel bad, you don't want to invest in something that's going to make you feel bad, I get it. This is a free bag of money. If you want it, here it is. Take Steelers +3. Take it to the bank.
I don't want that money. Eric, do you want that money? Do you want that money, Eric? Ridiculous.
I want real money, and real money is my picks. Here we go. And by my picks, I'm like a little under 500, so we're going to come back. First lock is the Oakland Raiders, who I got both right over you guys last week, laying 10.5 against the Cincinnati, whatever you want to call them nowadays, who are now pathetic and the worst team in the NFL. Ryan Finley is not going to be doing much against them out in the black hole. And I got my final 2 picks are 2 teams that have not lost in a while. I am going with probably the biggest upset of the year, not in terms of numbers, but I'm taking the Houston Texans +4 over Lamar, John Elway / Joe Montana Smith, or is it Smith? Is the last name Smith?
Jackson.
Yes. Jackson, there you go. Lamar.
Take that, Ravens.
Yeah, the league. That's funny. Keep going.
Yeah. So yeah, Texans +4 over Baltimore, and for stupidly reasons, I'm gonna take the Browns laying the 3. I will lay those points. You can have those 3 points, Drew. I will take the win, and I think Mason Rudolph, he couldn't beat Baker Mayfield in college. He's not gonna be in the pros. So Big Ben's not walking through that tunnel, and if he is, he's got a big sling on his arm.
Bag of money.
Not going to play.
All right, Drew, I agree with you in your Chiefs pick. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think that's a good one going up against the Chargers. The other one that I picked out here was -14 San Francisco. I do not like. I still believe San Francisco is overrated. I want to go with Arizona here, even though Arizona hasn't been a good team. I just think that's too many points. And
I can see that.
It's a little bit of a shorter week. I'll go with Arizona there. I think I go with there.
Keep it within 2 scores?
Yeah. And my smartest pick, always the smartest pick, always a lock every single week, is going with the Browns. They're going to beat the Steelers. It is going to be a party on Thursday night. We need to have some sort of new refrigerator that unlocks beer for this Thursday night win because the Browns are making it a lock. They're going to unlock whatever prize there will be after this game. And we are going to celebrate on tomorrow night or tonight, whenever you're listening to this.
I'd love for the crystal ball to get one wrong every now and again. I've lost 3 this year. I'd love to make it 4. I just don't see it. It's not in the cards. I'm from the future. It's not what I'm seeing.
All right, we'll get that. We'll get Cavs win. It's going to be a great Thursday night. Gentlemen, thank you for joining. It's been another great podcast. We'll talk to you guys after double wins.
Come on, Browns. Let's beat those Steelers.